What's going on, everyone? Adam Gellman here. We have had a very annoying 2023, and we are on the verge of another annoying 2024. But what would be a celebration of those annoyances without the four of us? I've got an esteemed panel here tonight. As we did last year, we're going to be doing a video that walks through the 2024 Annoyances tournament for the hobby. Paul Lesko is the mastermind behind all of this, and he's welcomed us into the fold with open arms because we are just as annoying as anybody. And I wanted to thank him for that opportunity for another year. But Paul, since you are the OG annoyer and you are the lawyer of the hobby, do you want to quick do your introduction? We'll go around and introduce everybody, and then we'll go into some fun sort of recaps of how we're cataloging the tournament this year, some of the fun matchups, and then we'll close with who we've got going to the show here.
Sure.
Paul?
No, I'm Paul Lesko. I cover the legal happenings in the hobby. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Lesko.
Awesome. Ben?
Hey, Ben Wilson at our trading cards. Most of the hobby has me blocked. I don't know why that's not an annoyance, but you can find it pretty much everywhere. Ran About the Cards podcast with Stefan Loeffler and Tim Shepler for 4 years. You can find that pretty much everywhere archived. And if you're the kind of person who likes to argue, Adam and I got into one like last week.
Yes. That's what this annoyance is all about.
Neither one of us were going to win or back down. So at some point we just said, screw it. We're just going to give up. But yeah, if you want to fight, argue, debate, whatever you want to call it, let's do it.
Nice. Ryan?
Ryan Schear, Non-Sport Showcase on Instagram.
All right, man. A few words. I love it.
Profound.
Annoying as fuck.
I mean, you guys know who I am. I'm with on every video with Adam almost anyway. So here I am. Okay. Big time non-sport collector, constantly annoyed by the hobby on a daily basis.
There we go. That's what I like to hear. I'm Adam Gellman. You can find me on Instagram at WWE Gellman. You can find me on Twitter at SC Uncensored. I have been annoying the masses for at least 15 years now, coming up on 20. And just, shout at me too. I only get more annoying as the arguments get going. So the more petty the argument is, the more annoying I will be. So this is a perfect foil for me. And Paul, I mean, let's talk about the origins of the tournament just quickly for those who are uninitiated. We've done this video now 2 years in a row, but I want to make sure that people understand what we're trying to accomplish here, the good we're trying to do with this tournament.
Sure. No, about 5 or 6 years ago, I was just joking around about, people talking about, because I mean, you're on social media, everyone talks about what annoys them the most. And somehow I got the idea, I don't know if someone else suggested about, we should have, some of these annoyances fight out and see who is the best annoyance. And being a huge NCAA basketball fan, I'm like, you know what, the best way to do it, and there are a lot of annoyances, let's do a 64 field, start them all, rank them, let them fight out. And it's been really fun every year. I think I took a poll once to see how many people are actually annoyed by the tournament, and it's only 12%. So the
nice
12% that are out there that don't, like it, just mute me for like 16 days or whatever it takes, and then come back and we'll welcome you back into the fold.
That's awesome. So let's just take a moment here to recognize last year's champion, which was, I think, the most perfect champion for 2022. Uninformed card influencers. Was that the right champion? Do you guys agree with that for 2022? I'm trying to I thought that was perfect, but I'm curious what everybody else's thoughts were.
I don't think there could have been a better choice. It seems like there was a lot more people out there telling everybody how to collect who'd been collecting for, 30 days, maybe 60 days. And they were the nugget of knowledge. And thankfully, they did a lot of their preaching about which cards you should have on social media. So you have the record there to show what happened. But I think that was the perfect winner for last year.
Yeah, 10 to 12 years ago, we had Cardboard Connection and a handful of bloggers, and that was it. And then when About the Card started back in 2018, we were one of just a handful. You had, a few people here or there that, Rob Bertrand, Ivan Lovegren that were doing their thing. And, we were really one of maybe a half a dozen. I mean, if you stretched it, maybe a dozen. And then by 2022, everybody had a YouTube channel. Everybody was an expert. Everybody was offering advice or, and it was always, it was always opposite. You listen to this guy and he's saying one thing, you listen to this guy and he's, and people have 12 views, 73 views, or they're buying views. And yeah, so, everybody's an influencer. Everybody's a content creator. We don't need to listen to everybody or anybody, and we need to listen to everybody simultaneously. So if you can balance that, which is annoying, then yeah. So, I mean, it was definitely interesting what kind of grew out of 2020 in the COVID summer.
Yes, absolutely. Ryan?
Yeah, that was 100% the right choice. 100% the right choice, because last year was the year of the influencer, and as you see now, it's been happening the last couple weeks, maybe a month or so. You start seeing people saying, "Oh, it's been a good run, but we're going to shut down our podcast," and it's been a good. We just it's because the market's in the tank, and there's no more money to be made right now, and they can't fleece people with their shitty advice. So, I mean, there's a couple of guys still holding on tight, still holding on, but they always pivot from invest to collect. So,
yeah, I mean, like we'll cover that a lot in some of the new annoyances this year, but it's like I've like when I look back on 2022, it was the content bubble around the hobby became just this crowded, really weird sort of like situation where you had this mix of people that were like, "Oh my God, everything is awesome, and you should keep investing in Bo Bichette the Dodger," and like all of this other bullshit. And you're just like, but then you're also like, there's people out there who are legitimately trying to inform people and create content, and they get like nothing because they don't have a studio, they don't have professional cameramen, they don't have a green screen or whatever it is. And it's just like, that's fine. Like some of those individuals and their narratives were so much more entertaining than what we saw on the major channels. But like, it's like, hey, I went to this show, I spent a lot of money, like everybody see what it is. Like that's become like the 2023, to Ryan's point, is like, oh shit, everything's in the tank. Like now we've got to pivot and actually provide a legitimate like point of view. And very few people are able to do that. So definitely the right choice. So just to sort of now do our own pivot, this year's tournament is kind of a new beginning, I think, for the annoyances, because we've taken the opportunity to retire some of the ones that are no longer as relevant, or maybe could just be annoying emeritus, as I was saying in our pregame conversation here. Like, we all know that people using book value is annoying as fuck, but like, it does it really the same relevance as some of the other things? Not as much. So maybe there's an annoyance hall of fame that's coming here in the next couple of years as we sort of build out this tournament. But like, I think that is a really key element of like continuing to move the annoying conversation forward. Paul, like, what was your sort of take on retiring some of the old favorites here?
Yeah, I think it was good because most times when I'm initially building, you're looking at what got the most votes. And sometimes, there would be ones like book value, which I would vote for all the time, even though it was not relevant anymore. That being said, I did see somebody at the National last year break out a book and start flipping through it. So, I mean, maybe we shouldn't have retired it.
Guarantee it was a vintage.
Really
Guarantee it was a vintage seller.
But I mean, like, if you think about like the auto pen autographs, like the Dak Prescott thing was like 10 years ago. Like, when you look at like the different things around like retail and some of the things that have transpired in the hobby, like it's not as relevant anymore. But yeah, it's still annoying, but it's not as funny or annoying to deal with as some of these other things that we've managed to put in this year. So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah, and it opened up. I mean, I think this year we have the most new entrants that we've had in a long time, and I think we've got a lot of very timely entrants. And not to give any shockers or spoilers, but I mean, there's a couple 8 seeds here that I have in my final 4. So I mean, there's
nice
strong new entrants.
Uninformed card influencers, I think, was a pretty low seed, like, or a higher seed from what I remember, right?
Yep, no, that was new last year. I think it was probably 8 to 10. I think that's where it was, and it dominated.
Yep.
It really did well.
Yep.
And you know that the thing about in like new entrants and annoyances just in general is it really depends on where you hobby. Because if you're on Facebook a lot, you're
That's a
gonna
great
see a
point.
lot of crap. You know, I like take people taking pictures with their feet and crotch shots and oh, I just pulled this. What's it worth? Fishing for sales. You know, playing dumb. Because as soon as you click on those all the comments are like, hey, is it for sale? DM me. You're not going to see that quite as much on Twitter, for instance. I'm sure in like some of the message boards, blowout, whatnot. So a lot of it, and today, what's going to annoy me is different than what's going to annoy me tomorrow. Maybe I'm in a good mood tomorrow for once, and I'm okay with people wanting to use stupid words like investing, but I'm going to bookmark it for Thursday because on Thursday I'll probably be pissed back to normal, and I'll need to go back and find those. But yeah, I mean, we have to get rid of some of the old stuff because you can't do 64. I mean, we easily could double, triple that and still have content on the cutting room floor.
Yeah, we had a list of like 10 or so going that sort of didn't make the cut this year. And just, I think we have a nice field here. Like, it's a really good field. And there's some banger matchups in the first round that I think are going to knock out some ones that I would like to see go further. But like, you got to have some level of editing. So yeah, I agree with you. And like, again, like you said, where you hobby is a huge element to some of these annoyances. Like, what is going on Whatnot and Loop and all the other platforms versus Facebook versus Instagram versus Twitter. Like, it's a completely different world, and not everybody's exposed to all of that. That's the crazy thing is, like, you talk, like, when I remember I posted a poll of like what was the most annoying term going, and I put Percy in there, and there were a lot of people who had no idea what that was referencing. And like, but once they found out, they're like, holy shit, this is the most annoying fucking thing I've ever seen.
Haven't even heard it, and I already hate it.
Yes, it is so bad. We'll get there. So without further ado, I think it's time to share a little bit of the bracket, and I'm going to try and not screw this up with sharing my screen. So, forgive me here. So I have the annoyances bracket here pulled up, and the good thing is we've taken some of the regions from last year, the names, and we've kept them. Others we've renamed to be, cheeky and annoying as we usually are. So the returning regions are the Thanks Tops region, just because that's still as relevant as ever, and we'll get there. The Let's Go region is still around because, again, very, very relevant. I actually saw somebody make an advertisement on TikTok for their breaking platform, and they use this as their like catchphrase, and it was really annoying. Then we have two new region titles, which is the hashtag grinding region. Last year it was the hashtag invest region. The hashtag grinding region is this year because last year it was very much coming off the annoyance of being able to put your chips on the table and win no matter where you put them. This year you got to grind, rise and grind, my friends. And then lastly, we'll get there, but the sky is falling region is the new one here because we all know what we'll get to the Doom celebrations here as one of the seeds. But Paul, since you are the OG here, let's start with the Thanks Tops regions. Call out some of your favorite new entries, maybe some of the key matchups, and then we'll weigh in as we get going here.
Yeah, the Thanks Top region, I think, is one of the toughest ones to get through. There's a lot of really good new entrants here. And the first one that jumps out at me is, it's seed number 8. It's the, oh my God, I totally forgot I had this flex. I think we're getting a lot of that. I think Ben did a very good job of, I think it was last week, he actually
yes.
Pretty gullible. But I think that's a powerhouse one that we've got. QC problems, I think, is a more relevant one. I think within that one, we initially discussed potentially having duplicate super refractors out there as its own entry, but I think that falls into QC problems. So I think that one could be a pretty strong one also. And then another one of my favorites, 6 seed, overvaluing PSA 10s. I think that there is a lot of good grading services that are out there. I think, when you're getting more away from subjective grading, I think that, the PSA, until they get their own AI or whatever they're going to do, show that the repeatability. I think overvaluing PSA 10s is, it's still pretty annoying.
Yeah. I think those are all really good. I think there's sort of a couple of NSCC related ones. Having the NSCC in Atlantic City just was really funny. When you suggested that, it's so bad. Like, who wants to go to Atlantic City, let alone navigate the fucking travel to get there? It was a disaster.
I mean, it was just 2 years ago. It was my first year to go to Atlantic City, and I was pumped because I like Boardwalk Empire, and I'm like, this is going to be great. And then, I forgot whatever airport I landed in, but then, I had a connecting flight, and people were like, hey, it's faster. We just take a bus to go there. You don't even have to have a flight. So I canceled my flights, had to try and get that reimbursed. And then, every morning I tried to wake up, go for a run outside, had to run past, urine smells. 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm already running through clouds of marijuana. I'm just like, and then it was so.
And that was just his hotel room.
Yeah, and I think you did a good job cleaning up the name of the center, because I really wanted to say having the NSCC in fucking Atlantic City. That's where I was at this level of annoyance.
Ben, what were some of the ones that jump out to you from this region here?
The two, I don't think Paul mentioned them. Charging for any type of advice. We have investment advice specifically, but the amount of free content and great collectors that are available, that are seasoned and experienced, and on About the Cards, we used to say it all the time. If we don't know, if it's a lawsuit related, we've got Paul that we can always reach out to, so on and so forth. We've got a stable of other humans that are much smarter than us,
right,
in certain aspects of this hobby, and we all are ingrained enough in it to where we know somebody. I don't know anything about wrestling cards, but Adam, you do. So if somebody would come to our show and say, hey, guys, hey, we are not wrestling aficionados whatsoever, but here's a guy. And if he doesn't know, he knows guys. Right. And then the other one that obviously, as a finance guy, taxes are what they are. People are always going to try to circumvent that. But
I think that's a bigger one too this year, because at the beginning of the year, everyone's like, "Oh my gosh, do I actually have to disclose my sales on eBay?" Whew, I don't have to disclose them. Like, no, you always have to disclose them. Just because it's not the law, you still have to pay your taxes.
Yeah, the fucking taxes questions, they're going to start now, because we've only got a few months until taxes are due. And I pay the taxes on everything. Everything I open, I keep a track record of. Any supplies, anything I sell, I keep a track of everything, and I take either a loss or profit on it, depending on the year. And when I see people trying to give advice, oh no, if you don't get a 1099 from eBay, you're good. You're not fucking good. You're not fucking good. You're not. And it's just terrible advice. Horrible.
Maybe we need a hobby accountant as well as a hobby lawyer. Paul, do you know anybody that we could put into that role?
I think it's Ben. I think Ben's the guy.
Yes, exactly.
The way that the IRS tax code is written is so broad to cast a wide net. I mean, literally, if you guys have a garage sale this Saturday, you have to technically report that income. We all know that you're going to blow it on coffee and donuts and pizza, and you're not going to make anything except for some room in your garage. But technically, it's income. Yeah. So no, you don't need a 1099. You don't need a W-2 and 1099 KG. Otherwise, miscellaneous. It doesn't matter. If you sell something, you have to pay taxes. But you're also allowed, as Ryan alluded to, you're allowed to report the expenses, your cost of goods, all of your supplies, your gas. You can write off a portion of your internet space in your home, et cetera, et cetera.
This sounds like an awesome podcast to sort of go through, but like
Yeah,
I think there's so many elements of this that we could go into. Ryan,
I was going to say the Fanatics takeover. I was honestly going to say that, and the tax one caught my.
That Fanatics. I mean, seriously. Okay, let's have it out here because there's a lot of implications here. Ryan and I have talked about this ad nauseum from a wrestling perspective because I think it's something that not everybody truly understands how important this particular thing is. This is potentially going to be my champion. And I think there is so much here because they've not only tried to influence licensors to cancel licenses early, unsuccessfully it seems, but they've also sort of started to consolidate so many different things. Panini has a lawsuit out, as Paul is very familiar with, about the antitrust side of this. We both kind of agree. I don't think that they're in a position that Panini is probably going to have a good case to win that, but there may be a settlement coming. But like overall, like Fanatics is going to own trading cards. Like there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They own the auction houses, the vaults, the eventually it will be a grading company, probably other licenses that we don't know about. They will own the major sports licenses. The Fanatics takeover is a big one. And if you saw what Deadspin or now the Defector sort of posted on Christmas was they are not known for their quality in any way, shape, or form. And so like this is a huge, huge implication. Ryan, when you see the Fanatics takeover on this bracket and you are sort of handicapping sort of how important this is for the hobby, but maybe just as an annoyance for those who maybe have other preferences in life, what's your reaction there?
This is the bracket winner. This quarter of the bracket. This is the winner. The Fanatics takeover. Have they gone one product without a problem?
I don't think so.
Duplicate,
honestly,
superfractors. You've got people backdooring cards left and right. Like what the fuck is going on? And then this shit, if they're in charge of everything, they have no reason to even answer to the hobby about what they do and why they do it. So this is, I mean, spoiler alert, this is my quarter winner. So but I mean, some of the other things on here, criticizing people for overpaying, that irritates the fuck out of me.
Oh, it's so bad.
Anytime,
what's an overpay? Honestly,
well, no, here's what I'm going to say. Anybody who criticizes how somebody spends their money is projecting their own financial insecurities onto that person. Because if I spend $500 for a card that you deem to be $10 and you get all huffy about it, about how I spend my money, you're saying to the world, I can't spend as much as you to get that item, in my opinion. So you're basically telling people you're a broke dick. Period.
I agree. I mean, like this happens all the time. No, especially in wrestling cards.
Oh no, wrestling. Well, we've got a couple of guys. One in particular, you're never going to get your money back out of that. Well, motherfucker, we're not all worried about that. Some of us are actually buying shit because we like it.
Yeah, I always confess to that every once in a while. Whoops, I paid the wanting it tax. I mean, just sometimes you do it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I as a big Mark McGuire collector, if there's one out of 25 that's on eBay, am I overpaying for it? But, like Paul says, I want it. I quote unquote need it. I want a secure one. There's only 25, and we're assuming that any of the other 24 are ever going to populate into a place where not only, are they going to pop first off, but I'm going to also be, there to see it. So sometimes you can't overpay in a non-autonomous consumption industry. You can't. The whole idea behind it is it's all based on want and desire. It's not based on need to survive. You cannot overpay.
This is a disposable income capitalistic society. This is not oh my God, I need to feed my family. Like, if you need to feed your family, you shouldn't be buying cards.
I'm just saying, Paul gives up chocolate for a year. He's going to overpay for that first taste on January 1st, even though he knows he can go get, a whole pack for 98
He's got to
cents.
put it on his teeth. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you were around my house the last couple days.
I've heard stories because, your wife responds to like you.
You all hear that high-pitched whine from all the chocolate.
And then I have one more thing from this, and I'll make it quick, is the kid investor hype. Because I feel like a lot of these influencers have fallen out of favor, and now they're trying to use their kids to push their agenda because you can't criticize.
Yes. Yeah, that's a huge element of that. Is like, how do we maintain our stature? And we got to bring in there's three things that influencers resort to all the time. One of them is a giveaway. Like, we got to give something away. The second is bringing some sort of element of charity. And then the third is some element of children. Like, those are the three things in life you can't argue with, is getting something for free, giving something to charity, and then, how do you get, like,
criticizing kids?
How do you criticize a kid?
But I mean, really, if you just look at these videos, you can they're copycat videos of whichever influencer there was. You can just picture that influencer on the spot of that kid doing the same exact dumb shit that he did a year ago, or she did a year ago. Walking up with, they're pulling the camera. Oh, I got a secret. I'm telling you, I really want this card, and I've got 10,000 in cash. And the kid's like fucking 11.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see if I can get it for 9,800.
Yeah, it's tough, man. And like, I think we're gonna run into, like, as things continue to go a certain way, like, even though the sky is falling and there's a region named after it, we're still multiples of X above where it started. So, like, I think there's still a lot left to come down. And as that roller coaster continues to go down that slope, they're going to rely on some old tactics, things that we know are going to be major parts of this. All right, let's move on to the Let's Go region. Paul, I know that this has a bunch of new ones in it, but what are some of the things that you wanted to call out here as you were building this bracket?
Yeah, so the Let's Go region, I think, has some of the toughest, most difficult matches. And there's one matchup just at the beginning where you have hashtag invest. Cards as an investment is a perennial powerhouse. People that are telling you how to invest, it's a tough one to get over. And my heart was attached to Percy. I didn't know what Percy was. I'm not even trying to define it because I defined it wrong on the Twitter a couple days ago. But I love how stupid sounding it is. And it's going to go out first round because it's got some big, tough competition there.
So let's tell everybody what a Percy is. So if you're familiar with the Whatnot platform, when somebody breaks a personal box on the Whatnot platform, they're not part of a break. It's not part of the normally scheduled show. The host is like, who wants to break some Percys? Or who wants to do some Percys? Or I'm going to do a Percy. And I heard this for the first time middle of 2023, and I was fucking floored.
Yeah.
I know you guys, I posted a poll about this, and very few people were familiar because, to Ben's point, it depends on where you hobby. I'm on Whatnot more than I'd like to admit. And this just fucking shocked me.
Yeah. No.
Thank you, Adam, for now making that part of our vernacular. We appreciate
I love to be annoying.
Yeah,
I don't Whatnot, so it's never was going to come into my vision, and until you so eloquently brought it forth. So I appreciate you for that.
It's one of those words that you just hear and you just have a shiver. It's like moist. It's just you hear Percy. Like, oh God, really?
Oh my God. Oh, that's perfect.
This Percy break is so moist.
Yeah, right. All right, you've earned yourself a spot on the shit list for that one. All right, Paul, keep going.
Yeah. No, and another new one we got. Tagging card purchaser for every post. And I'm not somebody that's anti-card purchaser. I mean, I follow card purchaser and there's some good stuff on there. It's just the people that tag them for like hey, I have a Zion Williamson rookie Prism PSA 10. What's it worth? At Card Collector. And like, oh, motherfucker. This is, I think I said it last year, but I'm going to hire a computer programmer and we're going to create a allow me to eBay that for you app where it automatically types in whatever you do. It goes to eBay and it shows you the results. But it's just, and I understand if you have a card and like Ben said, there's only 25 of them out there. And what's the value of that? I understand a card purchaser for that to get it out there so you get a lot of eyeballs on it, but not everything. If I see another Zion Williamson or something up there, it's just no. Not every one of your tags is worthy of being thrown all across Twitter.
So card purchaser started out as like he was one of the original card influencers, you could argue. And the reason that he gained so much following is because he went on these retweet binges where it's just like everything that was tagged him, he would retweet. And he gained a ton of followers because people wanted to see what he was retweeting. They were doing all this stuff. As it became a more sort of meme-worthy thing, it's like the most stupid, irrelevant questions got a tag. And you're just like, there are like these lowly idiots who have no business giving expert opinions, but tagging card purchaser, we'll get to that in another region, tagging card purchaser because they want to get their stupid opinion out there. Or you have these uninformed people tagging card purchasers, asking questions that are responded to by card purchasers' major following. Or lastly, you have people fishing for sales. And like, that's the most annoying thing in the hobby that I think exists. That may need to be a number one seed next year, is just people fishing for sales. Like, we know that selling cards is tough. eBay is not an easy platform to get your word out, all of this shit. But like, fishing for sales is so fucking annoying, and card purchaser is the vehicle to do that.
Yeah, it's everything. I created my own meme where it's, the Homer Simpson meme where he's like this, he's like, and I put, I hope card purchaser sees this, and I respond every time somebody posts that, I put it on there because
that's awesome.
But it's true. It's like, hey, at card purchaser, I'm at Target right now with my wife. What do you see here that I should buy? Shot of shitty wax that everybody knows is garbage. Like, really? Like, just be your own person. Make up your own fucking mind. Buy something, don't buy it. But I mean, you just show how inept you are when you do stuff like that. It's just, you're really just inept in the hobby, and probably in parts of your life as well.
Ben, what are some of the ones that jumped out to you?
Yeah, I was gonna say card purchaser because I have had many one-on-one run-ins with the guy who does not collect and has very little knowledge. He just has a vehicle that he's making money off of. But the one that outside of that is, everybody's breaking. Everybody that can afford a box of cards and a makeshift website or an eBay account can break. We really need to do away with this slow roll of,
oh yes,
I mean, and then you get up and you walk away, oh my gosh, and then you sit back down and you're like, oh, and then you start bringing in other ones like, this is a super fractor, so I'm literally shaking. Okay, why would you shake? It's not your card, right? You've sold it to somebody. I break a lot with a specific breaker. I don't break very often, but it allows me to get team sets on some of the larger stuff like Panini Chronicles, for instance, that's all over the place. And one of the things I like about them is even when they hit something huge like a superfractor, they show it, but they don't slow roll it. Hey, we pulled a superfractor of XYZ. This is the player. We're going to put it in a top loader. We're going to set it behind the thing so you can see it on camera the entire time. But they don't slow roll it. They don't invite their neighbors over, to have a drink while they're showing it. I mean, it's like, stop. We don't need 90 seconds on a card. Show it right now. Show it at the end. Do a review of all of the good hits. Have a discussion after the fact, because if I'm watching it now on repeat because maybe I'm in the break, I can skip over the last part of it where you're doing the review of all 18 hits that we had during this.
Yeah, that's the key here, is like, okay, there's a couple of things that have changed with breaking in the last 6 years. I'm not gonna say 12 years, but 6 years at least, since going back to like the true sort of Panini era. One of them is that they've had to switch to quarter cases or not even a full case in a break. So they're trying to extend out like these coverages, and they're trying to make their room feel like all this craziness. Like slow rolling breakers was my add to the tournament last year because I cannot fucking stand this. Show the card. Just show the fucking card. Like no one is here to watch you put on a show. We'll get to other parts of this in this region, which is like the annoying graphics and shit, which I am really upset got put against uninformed card influencers. But like breakers are making a show of the break, and I get why, because it brings viewers, it does all this stuff, but it is annoying as hell. And I've seen breakers rip the pack, they're going through cards, they see a big hit, and they put down the cards. And then they go and get somebody to come in, as Ben was saying, to witness them pull this. And I'm just like, I did not pay for the entertainment of your staff. I came here to learn what my slot has given me. And I break now only with very specific people because I cannot stand this. This is the worst part of breaking. And I hope it goes far. Ben, thank you for your support here, because this is one of my top annoyances. Ryan, what you had one other one that you wanted to cover?
Number 14, showing off in-person autos with weird pen colors. We have a lot of people who go to signings. They spend a lot of time and effort to get to a signing, and they have to be unique. And so nothing says unique like getting your card signed in fucking gecko green paint pen. And it's fucking smudged and smears, and the card itself is green, so it's a color match, and it looks like shit. Okay? I'm telling you right now, 9 times out of 10, a blue Stadler is the pen you want to use on a card. Straight up. Okay?
Just like the card companies.
Very rarely do these pen color choices work out. And I'm a little bit of a perfectionist with my stuff. I have, when I buy an autograph, if it's a little, or if I'm looking to buy an autograph and it's a little off, I'll just pass away for a better copy. Like I won't buy a smudged or faded one just to have it. Okay. Sometimes there's situations like I just bought a James Gandolfini Fans of the Game autograph. He went off sticker 99% of the stickers. I think I've seen maybe one where he stayed on sticker the entire way. So it's kind of like, if I want that card, I got to deal with that. That's fine. But when you're choosing your pen color and you're choosing the card to get signed and you have complete control over what's going to happen here, stop overthinking this. Please stop overthinking this. Like using a faded gold Sharpie across a person's body, which is like flesh colored. Stop. Please stop doing this. Stop. Blue Stadler. That's all you need to know. Stadler, send me my check. Thanks.
That's an interesting one for sure. That was your official add to the bracket. So let's hope it goes a little far. I have 2 in here that are a little bit hard to understand, and I want to make sure we call them out. One of them is influencers shilling for auction houses. I don't know if people have seen this on Instagram. If you're not on Instagram very much, you haven't probably seen the floating head videos where somebody's on a green screen and they're using a story to tell like an interesting fact about a card. Oh, this player did this, and this is why this card is cool. Or this is why this item is cool. And it's used to be, I'm just doing this because I find it cool. Now it is floating head videos that are solely talking about things that are available in Golden's auction, in PWCC's auction, and they only go for things that are only available in those auctions. Now, these videos get tons of views because they used to be informative. Like, there are things about jerseys and, game use items or whatever that used to be called out in these influencer videos. Now they're just to pump an auction, and I'm so pissed that that's happened. Not because these guys didn't do a good job with their content, but it's just because, like, why do you need to do this? Like, I get they're paying you, but, like, why compromise your channel for this? It's so stupid.
You know what I just thought of? So I'm a huge King of the Hill fan. Like, I've seen every episode of King of the Hill probably 40 times. I love it. And there's an episode where Hank is reading a review about a restaurant, and he's like, dude, he goes, wait a minute. This isn't a review. This is a paid advertisement. And he throws it down.
Yeah, exactly.
the same thing.
So one of the other parts of this, and this is one of the regions I wanted to go deep into because this is a lot of new stuff. One of them is the number 13 seed, Collect What You Like. Okay. This is a direct shot at the hobby positivity crowd. I cannot stand the hobby positivity crowd. They're not realistic. They don't live in reality. They just want everything to be positive. People fight. People get upset. People get annoyed. And they have every reason to call it the bullshit that goes on in this hobby. The refrain that everybody uses to end an argument in that is collect what you like. I collect what I like. Paul, do you collect what you like?
Exactly, collect what I like. I collect stuff that
Ryan,
nobody else likes.
Ryan, do you collect what you like?
No, I hate the shit I buy.
Ben, do you collect what you like?
I collect what card purchaser tells me to collect.
That's perfect. Thank you for being facetious with all of this. Everybody buys what they fucking likes. No one collects shit that they don't like. They may, to Ben's detriment, invest in things that they don't like, but no one fucking collects what they don't like. No one goes and does the painstaking research, searching, combing auctions, being up at 3 a.m. for something they don't like. This is complete fucking bullshit. Like, nothing pisses me off than people saying, well, don't criticize this, just collect what you like. No. There is a definite reason why some things need to be talked about in a negative fashion. Pisses the fuck out of me. I'm sorry. This is one of my all-time favorites. Go ahead, Ben.
Collect what you like is like the death rattle of the dying influencer.
Right, exactly. Ben, you were going to say something?
Well, we used to talk about that about the cards, about collecting what you like, but there's a lot of layers to that. And a lot of times people don't know what they like. I mean, eventually it develops. I'm sure at one time Paul didn't like collecting error cards or lawsuit related cards. It just kind of organically happened to where, hey, this is a lawsuit, let me buy it. And then all of a sudden it's this new rabbit hole. I mean, I've started collecting 8x10s of Mark McGuire that I didn't know I liked or wanted or needed until I bought one and then said, you know what, let me buy a second and a 38th and so on and so forth. I mean, you know, it's okay to collect what you like and to ask for help, but to use that as a judge's gavel of I'm ending this conversation because I'm getting owned and I have nothing better to say.
Exactly.
I'm going to be the priest that's going to come in and absolve everybody of their sins of the hobby. It's like, stop. And I have a very dear friend. I'm not going to say his name because everybody knows who it is and I don't want to call him out, but he'd always tell me, hey, Ben, your blood pressure, if you stop arguing, it's going to be healthier. And I'm like, hey, this is healthy. This is cathartic. I need this. I need the argument. So if you say collect what you like, my new mission for the rest of this year, which just started, is to argue with you over that.
Yeah, it's exactly. And it's just like, Ben, you nailed it. Like, this whole tournament is about things that annoy us. And this whole venture is making a joke of it because literally no one needs to take these arguments personally. No one needs to take these debates personally. We're literally on social media to enjoy ourselves. Like, why isn't this? Anyways, I digress. Other things like
don't take it personally, but can we take it Percy?
Yes, we can absolutely take it personally.
So
the other things on here, like influencers opening hobby shops, there's been a lot of that lately. We've known about a Pier 1 that is becoming a hobby shop very quickly here. Like, it's just funny and annoying that that's something that some influencer thought was a good idea. Or maybe just looking for a tax write-off, as we've talked about in other things. Opening packs, opening packs in your car. Like, I open packs in my car just because I'm impatient, but I don't post it on social media so that everybody can know that I'm so impatient. But yes, that's another one I thought was funny. All right, let's go ahead.
I always put the good hits on my thigh right next to my bulge.
There we go. Nice.
That's why I follow him for my regular account, my burner account.
Yeah.
Yes. I as well. I can't
find him on Instagram.
If you want pics, just join my OnlyFans.
I do. I got blocked.
Like Ryan showed me the picture of the people that come up to him in public from his OnlyFans, and They're the type of people you would expect. All right.
Hey, their money spends too.
Yes. Dollar is a dollar, my friend. All right, let's move on to the hashtag grinding region. Paul, let's see where you're calling out here.
This one is another good region with some really good ones. The number one in this category, we've kind of unfortunately broadened it and made it stronger because last year we always had my kid bought it, on eBay, please cancel. We've broadened that now to just dumb excuses to cancel eBay bids and sales. I mean, that's a powerhouse. It's going to do well here, but it's got some good competition too because the number 16 seed that it's going against, which I think, it's carrying over the top cases at shows. I mean, when you've got someone who's got basically handcuffs on their little case, it's about this big, and he's got, again, his Zion Williamson PSA 10. I mean, there's no Honus Wagner in there. You don't need armed security guards behind you. If you do have that card, power to you. But I doubt you have that card. So that's another one of those fun ones that we've got on here. But we've got none higher. I mean, when you're
that's one of my
about,
favorites.
I mean, that's just it's such an annoying phrase, and it's just going to be so powerful. And then just the concept of number 12, every card must be graded.
Yeah,
I'm saying that a lot, and it's the Lorcana, the Walt Disney game that's come out right now. You have a lot of new entrants, new people that are in there that are grading every single one of their cards, and it's why are you doing that? Well, for protection. You can just get your own slabs. You can get your own cases. That's good enough. You don't need to spend $20 a card to do that. But there's a mentality that drives people to doing that. And I think that's a strong 12 seed that you.
So let's talk about this one because I'm really happy that this made it onto the tournament bracket. I'm not happy it's going against comps because I think that's a powerhouse in itself.
Yeah.
The every card must be graded crowd has become one of the most annoying crowds in the entire hobby for the sole reason that we are in the junk slab era. Everybody's aware of that. And they're still sending the worst shit into PSA or into CSG or whoever, because there's this idea that every card in your collection must be graded. And I own only like 3 or 4 graded cards because they are too expensive. I bought them in the slab. They're too expensive to risk cracking them. I wish I could. I wish none of my cards were graded. I hate grading. It's one of my 20-year-old sort of hobby things. I've never strayed from it. Grading is a scam, in my opinion. I hate it. But the fact that there are people out there that are sending base cards still to PSA, they're sending every card in their correct collection because they feel like it adds protection still in this day. Like, have they not looked at some of the concepts that have come out in the last 5 years to protect a card? You don't need it to slippy slap. I'm sorry. So that's one of my big ones too. Ben, what about you, man?
That's all you need right there. That's all you need.
Yeah, Adam, I'm kind of on that same boat. I bought a few McGuire's that are graded, just because I mean, if you collect 87 Thomas McGuire, over 1,000 of them like I do, why not have a PSA 10 just to have one? But I also got a really good deal on it. I paid $25 for it. Obviously, comps with my background are always going to be huge.
It's a juggernaut.
I don't spend a lot of time on Facebook hobby, but I am, just scrolling through to see what my family's doing. I'm in some groups, so you're going to see it. And 6 and 12, which are should I grade this and every card must be graded, are very, very common in that, because it's just one of those things. I just pulled this card. It's for sale. Should I grade it first? Am I going to get more money? And you go down that rabbit hole. The one thing that stuck out in this bracket for me is the 16, and I know you just mentioned it, Paul, about carrying cases. It shows where there's a show this Saturday in Sacramento. I'll show up about 8:30. By 10, 11 o'clock, everybody in there is going to have a black Zion case. And it almost, you have a one-off. The case doesn't bother me. It's who's carrying the cases.
Yeah.
Most of these people are either under the age of 18, or if I sat down with them and talked to them for 10 minutes and asked them, just, hey, explain your hobby story. When did you start collecting? It's going to start after 2018 Otani. And it's going to be more, probably COVID in 2020. Their collecting story is very, very immature, and it's very new. Yeah, I mean, and these are the people carrying the cases that are going to go up to the dealers, and then the dealers are like, "I'm always buying," and these guys aren't going to create. Everybody's on eBay then, and it's just like, okay, it's 10 o'clock. Maybe it's time for. I was looking through the junk wax era box quarter cards to pick up a bunch of Canseco's and McGuire's. I have hundreds of. That's how I found my Saturday morning is a good time. It's like card shows are quickly becoming, the size of Ryan's bulge, who's got the big
Right.
one.
No.
Speaking of Ryan's bulge, go ahead.
Really, before Ryan, I mean, I do have one of those card cases that I have, but I had it because
I do too.
I would put cards in my office and then I would leave with them, a lot. And it's not for protection or anything. It's just because it's annoying every time I would do this. And I did actually bring it to the National because I had a lot of bangbros.cards that were in there and I was protecting the public. I did not want in my image. I didn't want people to see that
That's
I'm
awesome.
goes around. So I had to put them in a case and hide them from everybody. But then I left it in the trunk of my car because I'm like, I can't even pull that off.
Can
No,
we make a
I
note?
have the case. I have the cases too, but the reason is I've walked into my office multiple times and seen my 3-year-old, my now 4-year-old, my 5-year-old, now 6-year-old playing with my cards, and to be able to lock them is key. I know that there's other ways to do it, but these cases are convenient and cheap. So yes, I have them too. Go
Can
ahead.
we make
Ben.
a note? Next year's number 1 seed has to be. It's extremely annoying that Paul's trying to protect the public at the National.
Right, exactly. All right, because Paul killed my segue before. Paul killed my segue before about Ryan's bulge. What was yours to highlight here, Ryan?
I have cases going pretty far. I have it's just like if you ever go to a National, and I know some people watching this never been to one. The last National, last year, they're everywhere, man. And they come in all shapes and sizes. I mean, I saw a guy, I swear he could have had a bazooka in that fucking case. It was so big. I mean,
Yes.
it's got
I saw that one.
Double wheels on it. It's got 3 padlocks, and it just seems like it's a fashion statement. Okay, it's not any different than somebody buying Louis Vuitton and walking around with a Louis Vuitton bag because they can. It's just annoying. It's annoying because when I grew up in that time frame of being 7 to 15 years ago, do you know where my cards were? They're in my fucking pocket. They're in my pocket, and that's how. Or I had a white box and I kept them in there.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just it's over the top. It seems like a pain in the ass to manage because everywhere you go, you got to park
lug that thing, or yeah.
And then they slam it. Like I was working at one of them, my buddy's booth at the National, and they slam those fucking things on the showcases, and you're like, whoa,
These things
out.
aren't cheap to replace. So
yeah, and then they pull out shit that's like $20, and it's like, like I get it if you're pulling.
Where's your shoebox?
Yeah, if you're pulling out like high grade Manals, I get it. Maybe you want a little extra protection, okay? And if you bring it on an airplane, but you're not gonna check that stuff. You're gonna forego your clothes to the belly of the plane to put that shit in the overhead. We all know that, so you can put it in a regular fucking bag.
Yep. Yeah. All right, Paul. We're moving on to the Sky is Falling region. What are your call outs here? I have a few that I absolutely need to talk about.
Yeah. So what I really like, and there's 2 that I really like in this one. There's the number 4 hobby gatekeeping versus number 13 no air conditioning at the NSCC.
Oh my God, that was fucking brutal.
No, I mean it's just I just don't understand. I mean it's June, July. It's gonna be hot. How is this a surprise? Why are we?
So
sweating?
I got the explanation on this, and I don't agree with it, but I also kind of understand it. They said that it was so hot and so humid that if they turned the air conditioning on, the condensation on the units would drip on the cases, and on the dealers and stuff like that. I was like, you guys need to plan some better fucking ideas here than not turning on the air conditioning. But go ahead. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, how long? I mean, this building, that's not a new building. That building's been there for years. You shut down every July and August. It's Chicago. It gets hot. You should know this.
And humid. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, but it's, also going up against, I mean, I really like the fact that you have hobby gatekeeping in this one. I mean, I think it should have been in years, for years before, but it's just the fact that, it's a powerful one. I have that one going pretty far. I'm glad it's finally in. But that's what I
Yeah.
really want to call out.
Yeah, the hobby gatekeeping one is so important because we've gotten to a point where it's almost more difficult to get established in social media and in the hobby without facing down one of the old guard who will tell you you're doing it wrong. And I think I've seen it happen in wrestling cards, which is now my new home. I've seen it happen across all the different cards where if you're not one of the old guards, you're not ever going to be a part of this club. And they use terms like number 8, fruit collector, to be able to establish themselves as higher and better than anything that's come after. Now, granted, there are a lot of new people. There are a lot of new faces. There is a lot of growth that has happened since 2020. Not all of it is bad. And the way that some of these gatekeepers exist is that all of this growth prevents them from enjoying the hobby that they once enjoyed without any limitations. And the fact of the matter here is this. You cannot continue to exist in a hobby like this without growth, without new people. And every single one of us, whether it was 10 years ago, 20 years ago, or 10 days ago, joined this hobby, and we were new ones too. The fact that there are people out there gatekeeping those individuals with stupidity on social media is one of the most utterly frustrating shitheads things that I've ever seen. And it is one of those things that I call out every single time. I don't care who I piss off. If somebody's being a gatekeeper and being an asshole to somebody new who's genuinely asking questions or genuinely wants to know or genuinely doesn't know, that is what number 4 is for you. Go ahead, Paul. What were some of the other ones?
No, and then also, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned number 8. It's just the word "true" is being sprinkled around too much, and it's a sign of somebody who is just they don't know what they're talking about, or they're just trying to stop other people. True collector, true gold, true rookie card. I mean, it's just the word
everything.
true.
Yeah,
It's just it's like, if you're saying true, then it's debatable. It's one of those things where you wouldn't have to say that if it wasn't debatable. That's your way of trying to win the argument. So now I like that one, and I'm upset because Adam and I had a little contention putting this together because I think Scotch tape for shipping is a powerhouse. Not necessarily because it'll go far, but because people hate that so much, or they hate that people
do not vote for it
so much.
Do not vote for it. Never. Begrudgingly added.
And the fact that it's going up against True, and True is going to knock it out, it kind of makes me cry a little bit because I really like to see.
I don't know. I think people. I don't know if people understand the True concept, and that's why I hope they watch this video, because the word "true" and true collector specifically drives me fucking insane. And I've had arguments. I've posted polls because I just want to get people to respond so I can call them out and be annoying. And I'm sure Ben has experienced this as well. Like, I understand the white knight collector that everybody has in their mind is driving the all that is right and just with the hobby. I will say this. I've had more issues with true collectors, quote unquote, collectors driving themselves than any other microcosm of the hobby. Breakers, investors. I haven't had as many problems with them. The people I have problems with are those quote unquote true collectors. And they are not to be protected at all costs. They are not the white knights of this hobby. They drive this gatekeeping, and they are so fucking annoying. And people who use that term are annoying. True gold, true black, true everything, true that. Fucking nuts. Okay, I've said my piece. This is my bracket that drove the most contention for me. Ryan, what were some of the things that you saw here?
So I actually kind of like the bounties. I'll be honest with you. I mean, because look, am I going to pull the card that they're offering $500,000 for? No, but it's always fun maybe to buy a blaster at Target for $20 and maybe think,
yeah, what if?
I mean, it really is Willy Wonka golden ticket kind of stuff. And the thought of scratching that ticket, but I digress. But did I do okay? Irritates the fuck out of me.
That's why it's a 1 seed.
Yeah, it's incredibly annoying. It's up there with like, hey, at card purchaser, did I do okay? You know, it's like let's just roll as many things into one tweet as we can. Cards are too expensive. You know, there's a million different ways to collect. I get it. You know, I don't open wax anymore because you're right, it's too expensive. I don't want to, and the return's not there anymore. So, you know, I get it. It's too, but bitching about it's not going to do anything. And like I said, like we said many times with, especially with wrestling, if you think that Fanatics is going to come in and start making like WWE Topps Chrome again, and it's going to be $65 a box like it was in 2018, no way, no way. It's going to be just as expensive as everything else they make. Scribbled bad autos, that's a bad one. But my biggest one here, and it's the winner of this side of the bracket for me, is exclusive licenses. Exclusive licenses are a fucking pox upon cards, period. It's the reason we haven't had a Jordan autograph in a Bulls uniform in 10 years. It's the reason that we don't have any CJ Stroud or Bryce Young rookie autographs on their jerseys, other than maybe an instant that was done before all this shit went down. It's the reason we don't have a Spurs Victor Wembanyama autograph, you know, and they spread them out. And it's just, it makes products so inferior when you do shit like that. Like, and I've said it before, nobody wants a new autograph of Barry Sanders, a fucking 45-year-old Barry Sanders in a polo shirt. Like, sorry, we don't want that. We want him from 20 years ago in the Lions uniform. Okay, that's what we want.
And here's the thing: these exclusives are going to go for 20 years. Like these, like,
oh, I know,
there are no more license changes after these. Like, they are long term. Now, they started doing exclusives because they wanted to reduce the annoyance of trading cards. Companies did not want to work and approve and deliver cards for multiple companies. That's why exclusive licenses started happening. And now that cards are competitive and valuable and drive revenue, there needs to be more competition. And having Fanatics at the helm, Fanatics Takeover, hashtag winner of all of this thing, Fanatics Takeover, when they take over, it's for good. Like, they are in it until I am fucking 60 years old. Like, that's fucking crazy to me.
And they'll have all the exclusives, and then you'll get your cards. But we're talking, you know, for right now, it sucks, man. It fucking sucks. Because if you want a CJ Stroud Houston Texans autograph, you can't get it. Period.
Yep.
You cannot get it. The last thing I'll say about this bracket was, you know, the air conditioning at the National. I was at the back on the hot side. So there was a hot side and a cold side. Like the one half, it was hot as shit, and it was literally a wall. When you walked from the hot side to the cold side, you went like you could feel it. It was like a wall. And I was deep in the hot side, and I sweated so much, like with it, because we were right by the side where like the big roll-up doors are, and people were going in and out and opening the doors. And it's like, it just goes back to prep. Like, you want to be like the biggest card show in the world, at least make it comfortable, because like, honestly, I'm in better shape than I've been probably my entire life right now, but a lot of people aren't. And that shit was miserable. So, well, I'm just saying in general. I mean, hobby participants are not usually the healthiest people, but
I am not.
I saw people literally dying. I mean,
yeah, there were ambulances there for sure.
Got to prep better.
All right, Ben, your turn, my friend.
Yeah, so I'm glad we talked about the exclusive licenses, but it very well might see Fanatics take over in the final two, right, for the championship. But these really aren't annoying. They are altering the landscape of the hobby. So they're not annoying like, did I do okay? We know that's a fishing attempt on, you know, hey, I'm looking for some sucker, you know, PM me for price, that kind of crap. It's annoying, you know, when people are saying, you know, Percy, you know, things like this, those are annoying. We don't, you know, hobby gatekeeping, that's annoying. Exclusive licenses are going to change how most of us collect. You know, I've always said the hobby comes down to two things above anything else, and that's time and space, with the third one being your budget. And cards being too expensive, you know, that's relative, right? We get a new job, we make more money. We have child support or alimony, and that goes away. We get married and now we have two incomes in our household. Our kids, are no longer, in the house. We don't have to support them, so on and so forth. Cards being too expensive is relative. You don't have to collect. You choose to collect. So stay within your budget, stay within the amount of time you want to allocate and the space that you have in which you can dedicate. Exclusive licenses perhaps will kill this hobby for certain collectors, and that's unfortunate. Just like the Fanatics takeover and the quality control and the customer service being non-existent, because when you have the only ball in the game, you control who gets to play. And some of these aren't annoyances. The one that really stuck out to me is number 15, which I think should kill redemptions. Redemptions are a necessary evil, and any educated collector knows why redemptions are necessary.
I wanted to retire it. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, I think maybe next year we're going to retire redemptions and maybe exclusive licenses going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and expert opinions offered by non-experts. I've been a collector since 1986. I've had a very successful podcast for over 4 years. Content creator, whatever you want to call it. Am I an expert? You know what I'm an expert on? One thing in this hobby, and that's spending way too much money on pictures of men on cardboard, specifically one man, and doing it over. Oh, hey, here's a 1985 Topps McGuire that I don't have. At what point is enough of this?
You're overpaying, Ben.
I'm overpaying. I am
always overpaying,
and I will put a 50-cent bounty on every 1987 Topps true rookie card.
Oh, stop!
You have, because
I'm going to mute you.
Bounty, you did do
it. We're going to do pardon the interruption in an hour. What is it? Around the horn. I'm going to mute you for that. Just for that. No, I mean that's Olympic. Yeah, no, that's a good question.
Nobody's an expert. But people purport themselves as one.
So I think that and this is a misnomer in a sense, because to your point, Ben, none of us do this for a living. All of us do this for fun. And our opinions are that of people that have had a multitude of experiences. I've written a blog now for 17 years or however long it is. I've been doing YouTube videos, podcasts, whatever, for as long as I can remember. I talked to every industry professional, Panini, Topps, Upper Deck. I know them all. I've had, I've been at the National. I've been at the Rookie Premiere. I've been at all these things. I only specialize in very specific things. And I am not going to offer my opinion on things in a lot of ways that I don't have an expert opinion on. That doesn't stop people from calling me an idiot on the things that I am very close to an expert on. Like, I'm pretty sure if Paul called me into a courtroom and had me review the 2007 Topps Rookie Premiere football autographs, I would probably be one of the best character witnesses in that respect. If he wants me to review the impact of Becky Lynch on wrestling cards, I could probably be characterized as an expert witness. But there are people who will jump in there on just about everything and think that they are the biggest swinging dick in the room.
And then just real quick, Adam. So the other day, if anybody's out there actually watching this, Adam and I had a disagreement on eBay and the auto pay. And Adam's coming from the more technical side of things, saying the integration of the platform is benefited by such and
That's
such.
what I do for a living. Yes, that is what I do for a living.
That's for a living. And then my argument is, as a finance professor, I'm coming at it from the other side of, it's going to kill sales. It's going to do this. It's not healthy for buyers or sellers. And
exactly.
And he said, I do this for a living. And my response was, I do this for a living. And if eBay was smart, they would have somebody that qualified like him and probably other people all in a room and say, okay, each of you are going to get a chance to speak, and we're going to throw it all in a blender, and we're going to come out with what's best. We need Adam as much as we need Ben, as much as we need, the next.
Absolutely.
And, the argument was,
and that was fun. Like, we weren't even like mad at each other. We were just like going back and forth on a topic. And again, it goes back to this, like, these discussions drive social media, and they are so much fun. And Ben, to your point, they're cathartic, right? Like, we love to have these discussions because it's not personal to us. Like, I don't all of a sudden hate Ben because he thinks differently on this topic. The whole different thing altogether.
Ooh, a lot of people do, though.
Yeah, people will shill auctions with fake usernames on my behalf because they disagree with my opinions. But yes,
and now I know I know Adam's level of expertise on a certain topic. So if I need, I was writing a book and I had a question I needed a lawyer, and I called Paul and he never answered. So, but I always tell my children this all the time. Multiple truths can simultaneously coexist.
Absolutely.
Everything Adam said was absolutely correct, as what I said was correct. And to a degree, a platform like eBay is going to need to pull from both of our levels of expertise. And it's not going to be a perfect or simple solution. They're going to have to do what's best. And a lot of it's their motivation. Whenever anybody says anything, understand, we were talking about influencers, understand their motivation. Are they getting paid for whatever they're spewing? Because if they are getting paid, then you need to understand.
That's a key element.
And,
yeah.
eBay is there to drive revenue. And are they looking to integrate their platform and make it more smooth, or are they looking for a better buyer seller experience? That's their choice to make as a company. And in that case, if Adam and I are sitting there across from each other and we're both right, they might say, sorry, you win and you lose, because this makes more sense to our bottom line.
And this goes back to what this sort of tournament is all about. And I want to talk about one last thing before we get into, we're going to have to shorten this up because we're over time already, but the Hobby Doom celebrations sort of named this region. And the sky is falling. The hobby's in a great place. Let's just put that out there. There is nothing wrong with the hobby. Everybody's in a good spot. The only thing that is wrong is that values for the industry have not kept up with what they were a couple of years ago. People will always collect. People will always be involved in social media. People will always be involved in hobby social media. None of that has a chance of dying, ever. As long as the platform is there, there will be the hobby and hashtag collect and hashtag the hobby, all of that stuff. These Doom celebrations are specific to how people are using money to float businesses, to float investments, to float whatever it is that they're doing. And these Doom celebrations do get really annoying. So I'm going to leave it at that, just because it named the region. We didn't get a chance to talk about it, although it is going up against flexing cards at sporting events, which I find cringeworthy and annoying to a vast degree. So hopefully it makes it through. I want to take some time now. Let's pick our champions, because we don't have time now to sort of go through our final four. But if you had to say, all right, this is what our championship is going to look like. Ben, let's start with you. What's your champion for this year? What would be your desired champion if it's not the one that you would expect to win?
Honestly, I think the exclusive licenses versus Fanatics takeover. We talked about that. I mentioned it. I think they transcend what this tournament, the tongue in cheek of it. Because those are serious. Those aren't like somebody, calling it, an eBay 1 of 1 or hot or fire or first listed. Those are annoying and they're irritating, but we'll get over it. Exclusive licenses and Fanatics takeover are going to change the landscape of the next 10 plus years, perhaps even making this industry regulated. Because right now it's the wild, wild west, and Fanatics is just slapping everybody with their bulge. Because they can. So, I mean, if it were up to me, the desired would probably be charging for investment advice versus.
Oh, yeah.
Because, and I had comps on there, which all kind of live in that same little world of, again, it's not autonomous consumption. They're not investments. They cannot be. They hit a couple of marks. If you're saying what is and is not, they hit certain things, but not enough of the thresholds to be considered a true investment. There's that word, true. But comps aren't real.
I feel like you're doing that on purpose.
I do. Wait till your Twitter tomorrow. Nice. So anyway, yeah, it'll be. I just don't think that anything's going to be Fanatics takeover. That's my opinion, and I think I'm not alone on our panel.
And thanks for joining, Ben. I appreciate that. Thank you for this time, Ryan. Let's go to you next.
So I think Ben makes a very good point, and we've talked about it before. There's stuff on this list that affects almost everybody in some form or fashion. And that's whatever the lowest common denominator that people understand, that's probably going to go far, right? People don't understand what's going to happen with Fanatics. They don't understand it. They just know that they're going to get Chrome back and they're happy about it. They don't understand the ramifications of everything else going on. So I think that when you have something like big breakers pulling all the big cards, Like that's a big thing. But you got to realize too, they break the most, and they do pull the big cards. So my winner is exclusives because I absolutely hate it. I hate it. Now I get what Ben's saying about it's transcending just an annoyance, and it really changes the face of the hobby. But the one thing I noticed when I was filling this out is that a lot of this stuff is so symbiotic. Like I had on one side, I had Fanatics and Breakers pulling all the big cards. Like that's the symbiotic relationship there. And then you've got, and then I don't have them marked off, but there's just uninformed card influencers and pulling big cards and like this stuff. It all intertwines. But for me, it's exclusives. I think it's exclusives. I could see that winning because I think that actually affects a lot of the hobby in some form or fashion, because they basically say like, hey, I can't get a Jordan autograph for under 10 grand because of an exclusive.
Good call. All right, Paul.
No, I my heart likes exclusives because I'm a lawyer. That's what I think would win. But then, knowing how social media goes and knowing how Twitter goes, I mean, I think the winner is oh my God, I totally forgot I had this flex, because, I think it's, it's that gut hatred that you immediately have for that. Exclusive licenses, you have to think about for a little bit. So I've got, oh my God, I totally forgot about a flex. That's what I think is going to be the champion this year.
Okay. Well, I appreciate all of you guys coming on. My champion, I think we might get a repeat of uninformed card influencers. I think it's such a juggernaut, and if it wins again, we can't have it on the bracket for a third year. But I think there's a chance just because it's so fucking annoying.
I could see Redemptions going far though too.
Yeah, I mean, Redemptions have come back around. I don't agree that it should even be on the bracket, but that's just me. I think the Fanatics takeover has a really big chance of winning. I agree with your points that it transcends everything. Completely understand. So we may have to rejigger this a little bit. I said to Paul as we were ramping up for this video, maybe we need to just have an influencer bracket and just put all the influencers on here. Just have them fight it out. See who the most annoying influencer is. But personally, it's really hard for me to choose between the true collector or the collect what you like. Both of those in my heart are the most annoying fucking things that exist in the hobby. It used to be people that used to talk about last pack mojo and all of the mojo that they were going to pull, but that's seemingly gone away. Thankfully, it's been replaced with Let's Go, which has a bracket named after it. So those are probably my two that I would love to see. I just think Fanatics and the uninformed card influencers are probably too tough to beat in this scenario. But we'll have to do it. The Hall of Flame. The Hall of Flame, let's call it that. I love it. All right. The Hall of Fame needs to happen because I think there's a couple on here that need to be retired, but also remain annoying emeritus. So I love that. Guys, thank you so much for taking this long period of time to discuss how annoying things are. It's raised my blood pressure just talking about this. And I that's the point of this. This tournament is meant to be annoying. We are annoying. Everything about this is annoying, but that's why you love it. I hope you guys take the time to watch the video. Paul, thank you again for running the tournament and putting this all together and welcoming us into the fold for a second year. Hopefully we'll be back for year 3 as well, depending on how annoying we are. So thanks, everyone. We'll have the first round of voting up. When do you think that's going to happen, Paul?
As soon as this goes live, we'll start the next day.
All right. So you heard it here. The tournament is starting soon. Be sure to follow at Paul Lesko on Twitter. Follow all of us. Our profiles will be linked in the commentary. Follow Ryan and I on Wrestling Trading Cards. Listen to Ben's podcast. This is what it's all about. We're just doing this for fucking fun, guys. Like, this is like I'm literally in my house. Like, my kids are waiting to go to bed as we're taping this. So,
and that's annoying.
That's annoying. My kids are annoying. I'm telling you. All right, guys. Thanks again. We'll see you guys soon.
Moist.
You had to.